I'll be honest, I had a completely different project planned and started, actually, but it involves paper mache. And have I, as someone with probably 2 decades worth of experience working with paper mache at least now and again, once again underestimated the drying times of it, and that those are furthered when you have to do multiple layers. Why, yes, I have. I have indeed. So I'm just gonna push that aside for now, and we're gonna shoehorn in another project that's hopefully gonna be quicker and that I've been meaning to do for a while. Although it does involve sewing, so I don't know about the quicker part. Name's Tommy, welcome to That System Error. I keep forgetting the intro lately. Should I be worried? You heard my accent. I'm German, I go for walks. A lot. Not to be a cliche, but that one is true. For me at least. I am this meme at all times. Sometimes for an added bit of extra comfort or warmth, I take one of these with me. A to-go cup with probably tea in it. I never thought I would say that. I used to hate tea a lot. Now I don't. Because I go for long walks, I have emptied this pretty early on, usually, and then what do? Exactly. Awkwardly hold it like this and switch hands every 5 minutes. Is that awkward and annoying? Yes. Also an uncomfortably first world problem. Nonetheless, it is one that begs for a solution. And luckily the Stanley moms have come up with one probably a long time ago. Full offense, while I do not wish any other part of my character to ever resemble one of the Stanley Cup moms, even just the slightest little bit. And if I ever do, you have full permission to put me down. I do really want one of those bag sling things that you can just put this into so I don't have to hold it. So that's this video. So I have my 2 most commonly used to-go cups here for measurement. This one says nope, just nope in German, which is a mood, and I especially like using that one during school times. Did anyone ever properly acknowledge the message? Not really. I felt good about it in the moment, knowing that it was there, you know? Basically had the idea for this project while I was giving my bag a makeover last year, because I'm gonna use some of those same materials. My old jacket is back. I'm proud of myself for already getting a second project out of something that I just didn't want to throw away purely because I was being stubborn. This is an old jacket of mine. It is now missing a sleeve. Went into my bag makeover. It's obviously made to withstand rain, and I am hardcore when it comes to my walks, so you are appreciated. I'm gonna use this to make like a sleeve around this. Get some paper and make a template of that first. Make a size where both of these fit into it comfortably. Cut that out of the jacket. Thus far the plan.
Poorly but felt in return, entitled or it is fully doing something. Once again, the mother of using scenes to facilitate.
That was a bit of a mess. The grid pattern on this paper was irritating the hell out of me because it would never align, obviously, with the cup, but I tried again with brown paper and now I got it. Just need to think about how I'm gonna attach like the handle to that. I've done some sketches and I think I like this part the best. Basically, I'm just gonna cut that whole thing with like strips like coming off of here and here. And then I can just fold those over, make them into loops, and then attach whatever to those. I've also realized that these two have a bigger difference in circumference than I anticipated. This whole strip around them is gonna be a bit smaller than I thought. So I think if I make the loops a little bit longer, it might help give the whole thing some stability back. I'm gonna have to still do some mental gymnastics with that one. And then I'm also thinking about whether or not I wanna decorate the thing or do something fancy with it, because I might have to plan ahead for some of those ideas when I'm cutting this out of the fabric. Because I've debated just doing some very obvious seams instead of trying to hide them on both sides. Do like crosses across that in like a contrasting color to the black. Also over here, you know, like this Western cowboy pattern embroidery thing, like on these boots for example. I think something along those lines could look really cool. I'm probably gonna have to do that by hand. You know, there's still time to think about that idea. Might have some extra time for sewing. That's what I'm telling myself at this current moment, because I've learned from my back project that I don't have to hem the edges basically. It's quite easy once you got a starting point to separate this outer layer from the fluffier lining on the inside, and then I just cut the fluffier part to the size that I actually want. Outer layer I can just fold over and glue down to make everything look nice, and then I won't have to sew that, you know. On the topic of going for walks, I should take one now while I air out these glue fumes. Holy hell. But hey, as long as I can get around this sewing thing, I'll take it. Got my base shape here. There's gonna be one obvious seam, but that's just gonna be the back. I've decided this is properly shaped to fit around the cups. I obviously need to attach the strap to that. And I'm not gonna make one, I'm just gonna use one from bags that I already own. I had a look through a couple different ones that all have these like carabiners at the end, which makes attaching and detaching conveniently easy. Just to figure out roughly how big the loops probably need to be so I can fit whichever one. I've ended up with the idea of using these. I have a couple of these metal rings. I'm pretty sure they're probably meant to hold curtains, but don't quote me on that. I just have them and occasionally I use them for projects. So my plan is to use one of those on each side and basically sew this strip around those. And then I end up with these two big loops on each side that every carabiner I will ever own would probably fit. Adds to the structural integrity, longevity, strength, I suppose, of this contraption. I'm anticipating that to be the most difficult part of all of this. Also, one big argument for arriving at this solution was that if they stick out the side of the cup like that, and I then attach the carabiner like this, I'm hoping to avoid, because this is covered in fabric, any contact between the metal parts and the cups. No scraping, no noises, and most importantly, no wear and tear and scratches. So I'll do that and then we can worry about the design again, which I am constantly. But the actual first step might have to be removing any of the leftover glue from my hands, actually. Well, I have mostly sewn in one of the rings, and I can't lie, it's a bit less elegant than I thought it would be. Because at first I thought I could just, you know, sew the strip around it. That bunched up way too much. So I cut little slits into the strip to hopefully improve on that, and now it's less bulky, but also less good of a shape. I mean, apart from it making noise and like hopefully not making any scratches on the cups this way, the whole point of sewing it in was kind of achieving a more seamless, nice look. And like, it's okay, but I don't love it. I'm always gonna look at that and not love it. maybe an alternative that I have had in my head. Cut the strips off, then attach to these some sort of thicker thread or like a band. Go on a little scavenger hunt for the right material, but like basically attach something like that to here and then almost crochet around these rings, cover them that way. And honestly, looking at this, I'm thinking that can only turn out looking better, really. I'm gonna cover the remaining one and then decide which look I like better. I think that's the move. Where the hell that went? Found some black wool and literally nothing else eligible for this project, so, but it is thick and fuzzy, so I definitely need to wax that. And I do remember I've done that before, you know, waxing thread, and I used an old beeswax candle that I thought I still had, and maybe I still do, but I have no clue where it is. Not where I thought it would be. So luckily for me, I have also dabbled in DIY candle making before. Just have some random little bits of beeswax left over from that. I'm gonna melt a couple of those into like a bigger puddle, doesn't really matter what shape, and then basically you just unravel the thread, press it into the wax, and then you just keep pulling. Lasts longer, and that's just gonna, you know, make this more durable, easier to work with. I think one thing is for sure, the quicker and easier part of this project has long been out the window. I looked up a couple of different tutorials on how to crochet around a ring. I think I've done that before, but I can't really remember how or when. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Big advantage of having this cover for the rings and stuff all be one piece was it all being one piece. Probably fly again. You open the window once in spring and it's just flies everywhere. Hang on, I'm just gonna let that one out. Gone. Where was I? And having this all be one piece just ensures that the rings are coming off of it in the, you know, the angle that I want. Stable, durable, and all those important adjectives. I'm having to rethink the whole construction of this and how to attach which part where. Looks like such an easy project, and it also was in my mind. And I always feel like there's like a really obvious easy solution that I'm just not seeing. Good news, I can forget all the thoughts I just had because I am now seeing the easy solution. Well, we got there. That's what matters. I'm gonna fold the middle part in half and then twist it, and then I can neatly sew down the back of it. It's gonna align with the front, all still gonna be one piece, nicely attached. Great. Now the downside to figuring out this side is that I cut the slits in that side. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm too careful with stuff. Bob Ross would be disappointed in me because I very much shy away from the bravery test, given the chance. So sometimes I think I really need to actively work on that and just, you know, do it, you know, figure it out actively. Not just thinking about it all the time, but like doing it. And if it doesn't work out, you'll find a different way. And well, sometimes that comes back to bite you in the ass, which is the case here. I'll figure it out, but it didn't necessarily have to be all this extra work. This yarn was easily separable into 4 smaller parts. So I've estimated the length that I'm gonna need for the rings, and I have separated into 2 groups of 2. So it's a bit thinner. And now I just need to do this a couple of times. How you doing on this fine day? Me personally, I am determined. Definite positive is the crochet ring side quest. Worked out well. I mainly wanted to do crochet and not macrame because of the sort of braided detail on the side, which ironically is not lost on me that it is kind of lost because it's all black thread. And you can't really tell. But as per with little small details, I know that they're there. It truly is the little things in life, and in crafting, it is the little details that no one will notice but you. I was a bit worried. What I know for sure is not my forte is knitting. Once again, I think proven to myself that crochet is fine because you only have to control one needle, not two. That cuts the possibility of cramps in your hands in half. I got another ring to do, and I got my waxed thread that I also ran through my flat iron to sort of melt in the wax. Can't really remember the last time I used my flat iron on my hair, and not just for projects that would theoretically require the clothing iron, but I'm too lazy to fire that one up, so sort of patchworked with the help of a lot of glue and thread and a bit of sewing. Another piece back onto this strip over here. Sometimes it's construction day, but you realize halfway through that it's kind of a bad day to be construction day because your brain isn't thinking constructionally at the minute. It's just a little seam that you are not gonna notice in the end result, I'm hoping. I'm gonna worry about the star of the show, which is the stitching. I've decided that I want to do that. This isn't really, like, scale-wise a big project, so I'm gonna eat my words, but I think it's gonna be fine. I've also been contemplating doing that one in white as just like a little accent thing, or maybe black, but I really should crochet around the other ring now before I forget how you do that. Also probably gonna do that over by the radiator because I've stupidly made the decision to wear short sleeves today. Well, it was warm and sunny in the morning, but now it's looking like rain, and overall, definitely still not warm enough for this. Whoops. Got it. Now I need to go back to worrying about the design. If this is my base, I kind of want to do what I roughly tried out on the template over here and just not really do any stitching here, but just like keep this imaginary line. This same design here, 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 and here. Just gonna play around with some different shapes. And then also, as of right now, I'm thinking I do want to do the stitching in white, although mistakes would be more apparent. Much to think about, much to think about. And I do think the black would show up. Definitely gonna be some sort of shape happening. To contrast or not to contrast? That is the question. Maybe I can work this out based on the good old psychology of a toinkos or an equivalent. My aim is still in that perfect spot of good enough not to demolish this wall, bad enough that it will be mostly chance where it lands. White and green representing white, obviously. Red and black representing black. If I don't end up liking the result I get, at least I'll know how I feel about my two options. Probably take my phone off this ledge. One small throw for me, one giant step in the completion of this project. No pressure. White! We're going with white. Feeling through my feelings here currently. I think I like it. I decided I need a tea for this. Made a teeny tiny little test piece with the white thread on this fabric to see how it would show up. Single and double threaded, and I think I'm gonna double thread it just to make it pop a bit more. done with the stitching on this side, and I really like how this looks. Instead of doing, you know, the same thing 4 times, I decided to overlap 2. The white was a great call. Thank you very much. And I really like how this design came out overall. I sort of want to put it on other stuff. Maybe I'll make a shirt design out of it eventually. Is this a good time to mention that I have a red bubble in a Society 6? Just in case. So now I just need to do this over here again. And then maybe I'm gonna add something here in the middle. Sort of like this. Maybe. Fold these over, sew in the rings, and then finally just join this whole thing together. Howdy folks. So that's that. It was genuinely something that I've been thinking about and needing for a long time. Most importantly, it fits both the cups that I needed to fit, but I reckon probably also any other future ones that I might get. And given how all over the place I was during the construction phase, I am very happy when a construction plan comes together well in a final product. No one's gonna ever be able to tell, but I do love the crochet around the ring thing. They align pretty well, you know, when I got the strap around my shoulder. This isn't a massively overcomplicated project. Makes putting work into the details all the more fun. And for a sewing project, obviously that still took its sweet time to complete. Had quite a lot of fun doing it, and we only had a small hiccup when it came to the rings and the attachment of those. Other than that, everything went well, and I don't know how to deal with it. But yeah, the white was a good call. I was a bit worried about it being like too in your face or too contextless. That's one of my favorite words to describe things with in German, so I feel like I should transition that more into my English. But it doesn't look contextless. It looks quite nice. Shout out to my dartboard over there. Thanks, buddy. Speaking of detail work, aside from, you know, just the stitching, which I am genuinely in love with that design. I don't know why I'm so excited about it. It seems pretty simple, but I just really like it. There are more details though that I am in love with, like the back seam, the stitching I did on the side to attach the rings, like this rectangle with the crisscross in the middle. I could have sewn that on in a million different ways or patterns, but I decided to do it this way, and just imitating this kind of stuff that you usually see on like commercially manufactured products just sort of makes your handmade stuff feel really legit. Statistics. How much sweet time did it take to do all the sewing? And what better time to watch just anything that comes your way than when you're hand sewing, really? So more KK's 13 Reasons Why Season 3 Autopsy. One Carrie Can Read video, at least one video from a guy called Welchie, about 5 more YouTube videos that I can't really remember the details of, and about 4 CDs worth of this audiobook. Yeah, hand sewing takes time, but can I really complain about spending my time that way? Not really. Might just celebrate finishing this by taking it on my first walk. Just for a little full circle teaser moment, I'm just gonna check if this has now dried. Sounds good. So we all have that to look forward to now. Rock on or whatever. Bye.